I lost 15 pounds without working out more. And the crazy part is this: I did not add anything new to my diet. I simply stopped eating six common foods. Foods that look normal, foods that people eat every single day without thinking twice. And here's where it gets interesting. These foods quietly keep your body stuck in fat storage mode, even when you feel like you are eating clean, even when you are trying your best. For a long time, I believed I was doing everything right. I followed the usual advice. I ate what was labeled as healthy, low fat options, quick breakfasts, convenient snacks, but my energy stayed low, hunger kept coming back, and the weight refused to move. It felt frustrating, it felt confusing, because the effort was there, but the results were missing. Then I came across something that changed everything. It was a simple shift in understanding how certain foods affect the body, especially how they impact insulin. Most people focus only on calories, but very few realize that insulin plays a major role in whether your body burns fat or stores it. When insulin stays high, fat burning slows down, and many everyday foods are designed to keep insulin elevated all day long. The truth is, some of the foods promoted as healthy are quietly working against you. They increase cravings, they spike blood sugar, they drain your energy, and the worst part is, you do not even notice it happening. This is why so many people feel stuck, even when they are trying hard to lose weight. In this video, you are going to learn exactly which 6 foods made the biggest difference for me. You will understand why removing them can change how your body responds, and you will see how small changes can lead to fast, real results. By the end of this video, you will have a clear idea of what might be holding you back and how to fix it in a simple and practical way. Make sure you stay until the end, because the last food on this list is something almost everyone consumes daily, thinking it is harmless. Once you see it differently, it can completely change how you approach your meals. Welcome to our channel, where we share simple health tips that actually work. If you want to take control of your health and finally see real results, make sure you subscribe and stay with us for more videos like this. These foods look completely normal at first glance. In fact, many of them are sold as healthy choices. You see them in fitness routines, diet plans, and even recommended by people who are trying to lose weight. They fit easily into everyday meals. They feel safe, they feel right. That is what makes them so powerful. Because when something looks healthy, you stop questioning it. The problem is deeper than it appears. These foods have a hidden effect on your body that most people never notice. They push your system into a constant fat storage state. You might feel full for a short time, but soon after, the hunger returns, cravings start building again, energy drops, and without realizing it, you reach for more food. It becomes a cycle that repeats itself every single day. At one point, I was eating these same foods without thinking twice. I believed I was making good choices. Everything seemed balanced on the surface, but inside, something was off. My body was holding on to fat instead of burning it. No matter how much effort I put in, the results stayed the same. That is when I started paying closer attention. There was one small change that shifted everything. It was not about eating less or pushing harder. It was about understanding how these foods were affecting my body behind the scenes. Once I saw the pattern, it became clear why progress felt so slow before. The issue was never about discipline. It was about awareness. As I began removing these foods one by one, the difference started to show. Hunger became easier to manage. Energy levels felt more stable. The constant urge to snack slowly faded away. And the most surprising part was how simple it all felt once I knew what to look for. The foods themselves did not seem harmful on the outside, but their impact was much bigger than expected. I was eating clean, or at least that is what I believed. My meals looked healthy. I avoided obvious junk food. I chose options that were labeled as low fat, high fiber, or natural. From the outside, everything seemed right, but the results told a different story. The number on the scale kept going up, slowly but steadily, and it did not make sense. The effort was there, the intention was there, yet nothing seemed to change. At the same time, my energy levels felt off. I would start the day feeling okay, but within a few hours, the tiredness would creep in. It was the kind of fatigue that made even simple tasks feel heavy. No matter how much I rested, that sluggish feeling stayed. It felt like my body was always running low, even when I was eating regularly. Hunger became another constant presence. It did not matter how much I ate or how recently I had a meal, the feeling would come back quickly, almost like the food was not enough. I found myself thinking about food more often than I wanted to, planning the next meal, reaching for snacks, trying to stay satisfied but never quite getting there. The cravings were the hardest part to deal with. They would show up suddenly and feel intense. Sweet foods, processed snacks, quick bites that promise instant comfort. It felt like my body was pulling me toward them, even when I knew I should avoid them. Resisting them took effort, and even when I managed to hold back, the urge would return later, sometimes even stronger. Over time, this cycle became exhausting. Eating what seemed like the right foods, dealing with constant hunger, feeling low on energy, and still watching the weight increase. It created a sense of frustration that was difficult to ignore. It felt like nothing was working, no matter how consistent I tried to be. Then I discovered one thing that changed how I looked at food completely. It was simple, but it explained everything that felt confusing before. It was never about eating less. For a long time, I believed that cutting calories harder would solve the problem. I tried to control portions. I tried to stay disciplined, but the more I focused on eating less, the more tired and hungry I became. It felt like I was fighting my own body every single day. The real issue was something I had overlooked the entire time. It was the type of foods I was eating and how they were affecting my body internally. Certain foods were quietly causing spikes in insulin throughout the day. I did not notice it happening, but my body was reacting to every meal in a way that made fat loss almost impossible. Even when the meals looked healthy on the outside, the internal response told a different story. Once I started paying attention to this, everything began to make sense. Insulin is a hormone that controls how your body stores and uses energy. When insulin levels rise, your body shifts into storage mode. It starts holding on to fat instead of using it. This means that even if you are eating less, your body is still focused on storing energy rather than burning it. That is why the results were so slow, even with effort. When insulin stays high for most of the day, fat burning becomes very limited. The body relies more on incoming food for energy, and when that energy drops, hunger increases again. This creates a cycle where you keep eating, keep feeling hungry, and keep storing fat at the same time. It is subtle, but it has a strong impact over time. As I began to understand this pattern, my focus shifted. Instead of trying to reduce how much I ate, I started looking at which foods were causing these spikes. That small shift changed the way I approached every meal without adding complexity or pressure. The first food I removed was sugar drinks like soda and packaged juice. These are one of the fastest ways to gain fat without even realizing it. Since they are liquid, they do not make you feel full. You can drink a large amount of sugar in just a few minutes and your body barely registers it as food. Instead of satisfying hunger, they increase cravings and make you want even more shortly after. The second was white bread. It looks simple and harmless, but inside the body, it breaks down into sugar very quickly. This leads to a sharp spike in insulin, followed by a sudden drop in energy. That is why you may feel full for a short time and then suddenly feel tired or hungry again. It creates a pattern that keeps repeating throughout the day. Next came breakfast cereals. Many of them are marketed as healthy, especially the ones labeled as low fat or fortified with vitamins. But when you look closer, they are often loaded with sugar. Starting your day with this kind of meal pushes your body into fat storage mode early in the morning, setting the tone for the rest of the day. Processed snacks like chips and biscuits were another big one. These foods are designed to be extremely hard to resist. The taste, the texture, and even the way they are packaged all make you want to keep eating. It rarely feels enough to have just one serving. They keep you hooked, and before you realize it, you have eaten far more than planned. Flavored yogurt was something that surprised me. It sounds like a healthy option, especially since yogurt is often linked to good digestion. But the flavored versions contain a lot of hidden sugar. What seems like a light snack can actually be closer to a dessert in terms of how it affects your body. The last one was fast food. It combines high amounts of refined carbohydrates with unhealthy fats in a way that makes it very easy to overeat. This combination pushes the body deeper into fat storage while also increasing cravings, making it harder to break the cycle. When I removed these foods, everything started to change in a way that felt almost effortless. There was no complicated plan, no strict routine to follow, and no constant pressure to stay perfect. The shift was simple, but the effect was clear. Within a short time, the weight began to drop. I lost 15 pounds faster than I expected, and it did not feel forced. It felt natural, like my body was finally doing what it was supposed to do all along. What stood out the most was how different the process felt compared to before. There was no extreme dieting involved. I was not cutting my meals down to the point where I felt weak or deprived. I was still eating regularly, still enjoying my food, but the results were completely different. It was no longer a struggle to stay consistent because the constant battle with hunger was slowly fading away. My hunger levels changed in a noticeable way. Instead of feeling the need to eat every few hours, I started feeling satisfied for longer periods. Meals felt more filling without needing to increase the quantity. The urge to snack all the time began to disappear. It was not about forcing control. It just happened on its own as my body adjusted to the changes. At the same time, my energy started to come back. The heavy, tired feeling that used to show up during the day became less frequent. I felt more stable, more focused, and more active without needing anything extra. There was no sudden crash after meals and no strong need to reach for something sweet to keep going. As these changes continued, everything started to feel more balanced. Eating became simpler, there was less confusion about what to choose and less frustration about results. The progress felt steady and the effort felt lighter, even though the impact was much stronger than before. So the reason I could not lose weight before slowly became clear, it had very little to do with how hard I was trying. For a long time, I believed that effort was the missing piece. I thought I needed more discipline, more control, and more restriction. Every time things did not work, I blamed myself and pushed harder, but the results stayed the same, and that created a cycle that felt difficult to break. Looking back, the real issue was much simpler and at the same time easy to overlook. It was the everyday foods that had quietly become part of my routine. Foods that felt normal, foods that seemed harmless, and foods that were even recommended in many cases. They were present in almost every meal, shaping how my body responded without me being aware of it. These foods were keeping my body in a constant state where fat loss was slowed down. No matter how much I tried to adjust portion sizes or control calories, the internal response stayed unchanged. That is why the progress felt blocked. It was not because the effort was missing, it was because the foundation itself needed to change. Once I started seeing this pattern, the frustration began to make sense. All the moments of feeling stuck, all the times when it seemed like nothing was working, they were connected to these small but consistent choices. It was not about one big mistake, but about repeated habits that added up over time. As these foods were removed, the same efforts started to produce different results. The process no longer felt like a constant struggle. There was less resistance from the body and more cooperation. The changes that once seemed difficult started to feel manageable, and the direction finally shifted in a way that aligned with the effort being put in. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these foods are you still eating in your daily routine? Drop your answer in the comments below. Your response might even help someone else realize what has been holding them back. If you found this video helpful, take a second to like this video. It really supports the channel and helps more people discover simple health tips that actually work. And if you want to keep learning how to improve your health in an easy and practical way, make sure you subscribe to our channel and stay connected with us. In the next video, I am going to share exactly what I eat daily to stay lean, energized, and consistent without feeling restricted. You do not want to miss that.